The fear of the deep ocean, of what lies beneath our seas, of the unknown, thalassophobia. The dungeon, Ghosts of the Deep, explores this very idea. In this video, I'm breaking down the Ghosts of the Deep and answering some of its darkest questions. What lies in the methane sea of Titan? What do the Lucent Hive want? What happened to the civilization that once lived here? What are Xivu Arath, Oryx, and Savathun's intentions? Where is Oryx's worm? And why is the ocean so terrifying? The dungeon opens with a call to the new Pacific archology on Titan. The Lucent Hive have been detected there. Hawthorne tells us it's something about a Lucent Hive ship entering Titan's atmosphere and diving into the ocean. We find ourselves at the center of a forested area in the solarium, a large open-ceiling plaza within the new Pacific archology. The Lucent Hive have forged a gate, and it's our job to break the ritual. To do this, we have to locate Soulfire binder enemies to create a trail to a hive rune and light-bearing hive. Killing the light-bearer will give us a vestige of light, and at the ritual site, a Veil Weaver wizard will spawn. Killing the wizard will allow us to place the vestige into the right rune. The hive are creating a gate of Soulfire to keep us from reaching the depths of the sea, and we are using the light from the light-bearing hive to break it. So I want to establish what Soulfire actually is, and how the hive use it to block us. To answer what Soulfire is, we need to look at hive magic more broadly. Hive magic is essentially power that is derived from darkness. The worm gods told Oryx this in the Books of Sorrow. Quote, "We will not give you the deep, King Oryx. That power is for us, your gods. But we will teach you to call upon that force with signs and rituals. Small minds might call it magic." Hive magic is a process of calling upon the deep through rituals, and this was the way of the hive until Oryx discovered how to take through the Tablets of Ruin and communion with the Winnower. Soulfire, which is the green fire, is what powers hive rituals. The soul part of Soulfire comes from the transmutation process. As creatures devour food and break it down into energy, the hive breaks down souls into energy. Soulfire. Eventually, the gate is opened, allowing us to traverse into the facility. The walls are overgrown with nature, and there is an ever-present flickering of lights and flashing screens, meant for a people long gone. These were the people of the new Pacific archology. The new Pacific archology was one of the many archologies on Titan. These were cities and hubs meant for scientific research and study of the moon. The word archology is a blend of architecture and ecology. An archology is a single structure that focuses on sustainable development and is designed for high populations. The many facilities of the new Pacific archology focused on agriculture, zero waste recycling, and schools of scientific education. Above all, much research went to studying the life forms within the methane ocean, one being the protoworm Ahsa. The government of the new Pacific archology was questionable. Two researchers on archology, Dr. Rowe and Dr. Pell, made significant breakthroughs in understanding power generation technology. The government wanted the research to go deeper, claiming it was for the betterment of the pressure suits for exploration. However, the two doctors knew that they truly wanted the research for weapon developments. This led to the creation of the exotic centrifuge. They also claimed that this was the age of life, and governments did not ever use force against human beings. But all morals changed with the collapse. The Black Fleet invaded Titan, causing intense tidal waves and seismic activity that destroyed the many archologies. People scattered and evacuations were attempted. Many were killed by the Calamity or warsats deployed by Rasputin. 7 terrified people huddled by the escape craft's open hatch, bracing against the wind cutting through the open hangar bay doors.
"You're not leaving me behind!"
The last security officer looks down at his counterpart, long dead and bleeding out on the floor. He isn't sure how many rounds are left in his gun. His hands are shaking from the cold, from the reverberations of explosions shuddering through the superstructure.
"Let me on! Make room for me! Move!"
The security officer takes the opportunity and fires. He's not steady, hits the engineer and his hostage. Both crumble to the ground. The crowd behind him is screaming. The security officer curses, hurrying over to save the hostage. He hears a hatch door close behind him, turns to see the escape craft take off. He screams something, but it's cut short. The engineer is still alive. He doesn't even feel the bullet enter his spine before he hits the ground. From where he lies on the freezing cold floor, he can see the escape craft outside the hangar bay. Tears well up in his eyes. The last thing he sees is a beam of fire descending from the sky. His chest stills as the escape craft disintegrates, shot down by a warsat. Others, like Nadia Jahandar, accepted her fate, that no one was leaving Titan. She sat in her bedroom, reading her brother's poetry, as a large tidal wave took over the archology. The collapse ruined the many archologies. They are now sinking into the methane ocean of Titan, infested with hive. We see the remnants of the archology, leading us to a massive drilling platform. The New Pacific scientists had constructed a drill into the seafloor of Titan, creating underwater facilities. We traveled through an almost pristine facility, untouched by the elements, save for a few openings, possibly created by those attempting to escape. Reaching Hallowfathom, we find a lucent hive attempting to stop us. Hallow is a word to make something holy, and fathom is a word that means to understand, and also a way to measure the depth of water, which the latter seems to be the definition for this context. Through windows we can peer into the depths of the methane sea of Titan. In the distance are large hive infestations, and Ahsa, the proto-worm. The scene is daunting, and a signal for what is to come. It's not just a skybox, it's where you are headed, to the scary, dark, unknown. We fall into the remains of the facility. Parts of it are in disarray and broken, perhaps caused by the hive or the collapse. As we enter the unknown, we lose access to our abilities and weapons. There is no music or grand epic scene, just a gentle hum and the feeling of our weight. The ocean is giant, daunting, and we keep going deeper to meet whatever lurks in the dark. We are powerless as guardians in the deep. Other encounters and fights can be met with our guns and abilities, yet they do not apply here. We are to navigate the ocean without our guardian powers, but are still to be like one, to brave the unknown without fear. We continue to dive into the depths of the ocean. It is a present, haunting force that weighs us down and conceals the evil that draws closer. We can feel the pressure breaking our armor. We start to see the giant, sunken ship within the sea. It is almost hidden by the methane, only lit by a faint outline in green glow. We fight through Lucian Hive in the ocean, eventually reaching the sunken hive ship. It bears a similar appearance to the dreadnought. We climb through its interior, reaching the lair of the first boss, ecthar, the shield of Savathun. This encounter has us locating hive runes on the upstairs and then choosing the corresponding symbol in the water below, all while avoiding ecthar. This is not the first time we've encountered ecthar. Ecthar was once a high-ranking member of Oryx's court and a powerful ascended knight. He was known as the Sword of Oryx. He was also the knight that spoke to Oryx in this cutscene.
Their leaders belong to you. The rest await extermination. Gather them. I will take them all.
We killed ecthar during our quest for the exotic swords Razelighter, Dark Drinker, and Bullcaster during the Taken King expansion in Destiny 1. Years later, ecthar would be resurrected and become the Shield of Savathun. We'll talk more about ecthar in a minute. Defeating ecthar would grant us access to the depths of the ship. The methane sea is haunting, made more so by a giant creature within the ocean. This is Ahsa, and she looks upon us as we venture into the depths of the ship. We know that she's an ally to us, but here she's almost a terrifying sight. The horrifying nature of Titan's ocean is an experience not unique to us. Hidden agents Fenchurch Everis, Chalco Yong, and Lisbon 13 would begin an expedition to the depths of Titan, following our excursion. They comment on what they might find in the deep.
Keep this talisman on you at all times.
Black, glossy, and in the right light, the talisman has a rainbow iridescence. It reminds Fenchurch of hematite pearls from the Bay of Drowned Wishes. He rolls it in his hand, looking up at Chalco to see the creases of worry in her brow. Fenchurch clips the talisman to his jacket as the rest of the fire team has.
What's it do?
If it glows white, stay where you are and call out. If you experience any memory loss or sense of deja vu, call out. If you see anyone at the operation site that you do not recognize, call out. If you experience any out-of-body sensations or missing time, call out.
Ma'am, where are we going?
If you hear a voice that you think is your own.
Chalco warns her fire team of the strange things they may encounter within the deep sea. These are psychological effects and horrors, things that might cause memory loss, strange sensations, things that might bear their own voice, as feeling of deja vu. There's something horrifying about facing the unknown within the methane, and the characters here are preparing for that venture. We do the same thing in our journey, facing the deep ocean, leading us to the corpse of Oryx, the Taken King. This is what the Lucent Hive were after, the ghost of the deep. His body had crashed into the deep sea of Titan after drifting in space following his death at our hands aboard the Dreadnought. Samuma Nakru and a ghost hover above the body, attempting to resurrect the king. Crushing the ghost stops the ritual and begins the encounter. Our goal is to reveal 3 orbs that are above one of Oryx's body parts through a deep sight illusion. This will spawn Vorlog, risen in heresy, and when he's killed at one of the orbs, it'll reveal a ring and a symbol. Aligning the ring and symbol will show a hive rune. We then must venture into the methane pockets in the arena to kill a light bearer, taking their vestige of light to the corresponding hive rune. Each of these light bearers is an adherent to one of the Lucent Hive commanders. The wizard is an adherent of Samuma, the knight is of ecthar, and the acolyte is of Morak. Morak doesn't appear in this dungeon, but he was a villain during the Psyops battlegrounds back in Season of the Risen. He was a light stealer that led hunting parties in the EDZ and killed guardians. We have encountered Samuma or Nakru before. They were a servant of Nokris, the estranged son of Oryx. Oryx despised his son due to his physical weakness. He was not like his other son, Crota. This pushed Nokris into learning Hive Arcana and magic. In particular, he discovered necromancy. This was a different way to fuel his worm through sword logic, and he sought the worm gods. Zol, Will of the Thousands, made a pact with Nokris, seeing that Yul, the honest worm, was planning to attack him. Quote, "The cursed one took a fraction of Zol's power, and in return, Zol took the heart from the child, whose name had been struck from the world's grave. The orphan called life out of death, and fed that power to Zol. Nokris gave up his heart for the power of Zol and the secret of necromancy. Necromancy was considered heresy and a violation of the sword logic, as it brings back life that deserves to be dead. Oryx exiled Nokris, removed his name from the Hive Archive, the world's grave, and the Books of Sorrow, only leaving a statue of him in the Dreadnought. Nokris was a mysterious character for a very long time, as our knowledge of him came from that single statue.
The marking suggests this is a hive god, but I don't recognize the symbol. Nothing in the world's grave file either. The name is Nokris.
Nokris found freedom in exile and went to conquer Mars with his hive brood of heretics, the Grasp of Nokris. Nokris, Zol, and the Grasp of Nokris would be met with a resistance from Rasputin, who froze them underneath Martian ice. This would be their fate for many years, until the Traveler reawakened at the end of the Red War, melting the ice that trapped the hive. Defeating them was the focus of the Warmind expansion. We delved into the penumbral depths of Mars, a cavern that was partially carved out by Zol. Here we encountered Samuma or Nakru, a wizard of the Grasp of Nokris. We killed her, and eventually put an end to Nokris and Zol. This was not the end of Nokris though. During Season of Arrivals, using a piece of Zol's remains, he carved a portal into the Ascendant Plane, which had denied him before because of his heresy. This trait caught the attention of Savathun, who found value in the necromancer. She saw that he carried value in his way to defy sword logic, and she desired to free herself from the witness and the pact with the worms. Remember, during this time in Season of Arrivals, she still was bound to her worm, and was not a light bearer yet. She saw that Nokris' knowledge of necromancy could be the key, so she and Nokris struck a deal. He would give her secrets, while she would give him access to Kuria, the Dreaming Mind. Savathun saw the oncoming arrival of the Black Fleet and the Witness, and ordered Nokris to interfere with their messages to the Guardians. We would kill Nokris in the end of the interference during the events of Season of Arrivals. Nokris' knowledge of necromancy was beneficial to Savathun, as she was able to find a way to sever her ties with her worm, and create her brood of Lucent Hive, similar necromantic heretics to the Grasp of Nokris. Many of the Grasp of Nokris became Lucent Hive, such as Simamu Unakru, who became a Lucent Necromancer charged with reviving Oryx. Vorlog was a Hive Knight of the Court of Oryx. He slayed many celebrants of Oryx, paying tribute to the Taken King.
It was wizard strength. The use of arcana. Praise Vorlog. General and pragmatist Vorlog. Listen. Your name means less than me. I define it thus.
While Oryx praised Vorlog for his ability to slay the celebrants, he still deemed him to be less than him. Vorlog would be risen in heresy, slayed and reborn many times in her battle against Simamu Unakru. This dungeon raises some interesting questions regarding Oryx and the Lucent Hive. What are the Lucent Hive and by extension Savathun's intentions with Oryx? How did Oryx actually get here? Why didn't the ritual work? And where is Oryx's worm? Let's first examine how Oryx got to Titan, and set up a timeline of events to better understand the story. At the end of King's Fall in the Taken King story, we killed Oryx, sending him adrift in Saturn's orbit. The lore for the weapon Royal Chase gives us some insight into Oryx's whereabouts during the end of Season of Arrivals and the time when the Witness took Titan.
You still tracking that monster near Saturn?
Yes, Nil 1 is holding position directly over Titan. On mark, 27 hours. Rotating off in 3.
Long shift. You Praxic boys are cold. Regret your induction yet?
It's not a problem. We don't sleep.
Right. I mean, you do sleep.
Negative.
Come on, I've met Guardians before.
We do not.
Don't make me call in the gunny.
Your gunny would know better than to argue with the Order.
Okay. Listen, Jeff, you're not the Order, and I don't give
Quiet.
a shit.
Energy roofs bowling from the target.
What? You said he was basically dead.
Basically, Verim, record this. Establish direct feed uplink with NavTac.
Uplink connectivity is spotty. Gravitational anomaly detect. No! It's collapsed.
NavTac return. Link reads is established. NavTac return. Telemetric positioning pins us on the opposing side of Saturn. Displacement reads as roughly 470,000 kilometers. Titan is gone. This doesn't make any sense. NavTac, Vanguard Recon, come in. Tower Actual, Harriet, are you out there?
The Praxic Order Warlock and a Vanguard Scout discuss a monster over Titan, seemingly Oryx's corpse. They mention how it was believed to be dead, yet energy still spools from it. This is a very crucial detail. We'll get back to this in a second. Communication is lost when Titan disappears by the witness's hand. We know there were gravitational anomalies during this time due to the pyramid's effects, so Oryx's body must have been pulled to the moon and taken away. Now, why are the Lucent Brood here? Timeline-wise, this dungeon takes place a year after the Witch Queen expansion, during Season of the Deep. Savathun is dead, but Amaru, her ghost, still lives. Titan returned to Soul in Season of the Deep, but the reason behind its reappearance is unknown. But to answer this question, we need to determine who led this operation. Was it Samuma and other Lucent Hive commanders who desired new leadership, or perhaps the plan of Savathun all along? The latter is the correct answer for a variety of reasons. Remember, Savathun wanted Nokris' knowledge of necromancy. While it played a part in her building of the Lucent Hive, I think she wanted to revive her long-dead brother. Nokris' wizard, Samuma, plays a role in this encounter, which I think connects back to Savathun's role. Ecthar has become the shield of Savathun from the Sword of Oryx. He was stationed in the ship to stop us from interfering with the ritual, a shield of Savathun's plans. The biggest piece of evidence for this being a plan of Savathun past her death comes from episode Heresy. Savathun told us this.
And when my Lightbearer hive descended to raise you,
You sought my resurrection with light, betrayer.
I did. But oh, don't worry. The Guardians made sure you stayed dead.
The statement confirms that Savathun did plan for the expedition into Titan past her death. This leads us to the next question. Why didn't the ritual work? We know that ghost revivals are pretty fast, so by the time we got to Oryx, he should have been revived, yet something wasn't working. The ghost they tried to revive Oryx with wasn't their first attempt. In the Catalyst quest for the Navigator, the exotic for the dungeon, we find piles of dead ghosts, seemingly leftovers from the ritual to revive Oryx. And these ghost piles are protected by Thul-Ar, acolyte of Nokris. There have been countless attempts to use the necromancy knowledge of Nokris in combination with the light to revive Oryx, but it's not working. This was another attempt to force a revival using the light of the ghost and hive necromancy magic. The necromancy knowledge comes directly from Savathun's interaction with Nokris. This is why a necromancer was needed, a lucid necromancer in particular, Samuma or Nokru. But again, it didn't work. So why? The hidden agents Fenchurch, Everis, Chalco, Yong, and Lisbon 13 provide some answers for this question.
The Lucent Brood performed the ritual here. We believe they were trying to forcibly resurrect Oryx by combining heretical hive necromancy with the powers of that ghost. They were disrupted.
Is that possible?
Officially, no. Unofficially, that's what we are here to investigate. The body is still active, with taken energy and darkness. The Guardians who intercepted this ritual reported finding free-floating fragments of consciousness on the way to this site. Memories from the corpse.
It's alive?
That's unclear. We need to bring back samples for further analysis. Ikora wants this entire site quarantined and the body exhumed, pending transport to a secure location for further analysis.
Are we the first team to come down here?
We are the only extant team of Hidden to have visited this site.
Chalco reports that the body is active, surging with taken energy and darkness. This activity is why the ritual didn't work, but it raises more questions. How was the body active, years after Oryx's death? Chalco also reported that memories from the body were floating in the sea. These may be the calcified fragments that we find, which are memories from Xivu Arath's visits to the grave. But following their expedition, Fenchurch delivered an analysis of Oryx.
Spectrological analysis indicates concentration of taken energy within the cellular structure of the subject's remains. Resonance indicative of active darkness presence lacking both direction and willpower. Cellular analysis indicates slow but active mitosis, explaining the exaggerated size of the remains when compared to the subject's last known physical dimensions. The mind is gone, but the body continues to grow. Comparative analysis to samples within remains of subject WQS-030 do not match. WQS-030 shows no sign of mitosis. May be a compounding effect from the worm severance and exposure to light. Autopsy revealed no presence of worm carcass within TK0-300 remains. Status unknown. Prolonged exposure to TKO-300 causes vivid audiovisual hallucinations due to combined exposure to taken and darkness energies. ERI-223 notes similarities of the object of interest COS-030. Cataloged recollections from initial Guardian fireteam exposed to site indicate WGX-003 frequently visited the remains to grieve. TKO-300 is capable of absorbing knowledge and events but incapable of reacting to them. It is my professional recommendation that the remains of TKO-300 should be destroyed. It poses a threat to the safety of humanity, far outweighing any potential knowledge value.
There is an immense amount of taken energy within the cells of the body, as well as darkness, which lacks a mind for direction. Mitosis is occurring within the body, the process where cells divide and then grow and repair an organism. This aligns with the Praxic Order Warlock's report that Oryx's body was spooling with energy when it was believed to be dead. The body is growing, and it does not have a worm. This is a key detail. Oryx's worm is missing. We'll get back to that in a minute. As for the status of the body, it is within the hands of the Hidden, a secret only few know. While Fenchurch thought it would be best to destroy it, Chalco thought otherwise, finding that it was beneficial to be studied. It's also important to note that WGX-003, which is codename for Xivu Arath, made many visits to Oryx. We see this with the calcified fragments in the Navigator. So before getting into the details of her many visits, let's go back to the timeline. When did she come to the body? It seems that Xivu Arath made visits to Oryx while Titan had been taken by the Witness. And this is for two main reasons. Xivu Arath was working with the Witness and had access to the moon through the Ascendant Plane. Sloane was also trapped on Titan during this period where the moon was inaccessible to us. While she was stuck on Titan, Sloane encountered and heard the voice of Xivu Arath, leading to Sloane's eventual taken corruption. The other reason is that if Xivu Arath had entered Titan while Titan was still around, we would have known. We've been trying to physically fight Xivu Arath for years now, and she's been doing a good job keeping herself hidden. So if she entered Titan, we would have known and went to confront her. But if she made her visits while the moon was gone, only accessible to the forces of the Witness, then it makes sense that we didn't know she was there. But let's get into what happened during her visits. Xivu Arath grieves the loss of her brother. She saw Oryx as a leader of the Sword Logic and the navigator that saved her.
You are our navigator, our guide. Led me down the bladed path to be reforged as Xivu Arath. I will remember you, our navigator, our brother, our king. In this, you are eternal.
She finds that it is blasphemous that our guardian has not taken the mantle of the Taken King.
My brother is dead, and his killers have not assumed the mantle of the Taken King. Blasphemy! Blasphemy!
She's had trouble grappling with Savathun and her portrayal of the Sword Logic, and the way that she turned to the light in the Lucent Hive. Xivu Arath mentions how Oryx would have been proud of how she destroyed Tora Bottle. She speaks about how the Witness's plans of the final shape are coming into motion, and she takes her role as a Knight of the End. She wants an end to everything. She misses the days where she, Savathun, and Oryx journeyed together.
I long for our journeys together. They have come to an end. We will be proven right. You will be proven right. Brother, if you have taught me anything, it was to never deny a truth, even when it grieves us. What is this feeling? I do not want it.
With her final visit, she seemed to have left a eulogy and a gift at the grave. The Navigator. The Navigator is a strand trace rifle that is focused on giving your allies woven mail, severing targets, and with its catalyst, Gordian Knot, creating grapple points. It's focused on uplifting your friends and navigating your environment with grapple. The name of the catalyst is a reference to the Greek legend of the Gordian Knot. The Gordian Knot was a complex knot within Gordium of Phrygia. The knot tied an ox cart, and the prophecy said that whoever untied the knot would rule over Asia. Roman historian Quintus Curtius Rufus noted that it was, quote, several knots also tightly entangled that it was impossible to see how they were fastened. When Alexander the Great came to Gordium, he was challenged to untie the knot, and instead of untangling it as expected, he just sliced it with his sword. The story is an analogy for the use of brute force to solve what seems to be an impossible problem. That the answer to an impossible problem is not that complicated. In Destiny, the Gordian Knot has a double meaning. The Navigator involves creating tangle and grapple points, what are considered strand knots, which makes sense given the nature of strand and how it connects to the overall weave. The weapon also severs, an act of cutting targets. Xivu Arath is like Alexander the Great, where she acts sword logic through brute force, total war and destruction, where her sister and brother do so through tricks and navigation. This connects to the center of the weapon's lore, Xivu Arath's eulogy.
A gift. My true death was from necessity. The others were from love. The Ecumeny had cornered us, made us act with sickness. With my power, Oryx murdered our sister, and with our power, Oryx descended into the deep, and with our power, Oryx's wings spread wide, and he blotted out the Ecumeny's sky. My court. With his memory and his acts of war, he brought me back all the splendor of a love that sharpens and kills. A grave. I will find his corpse where he rots. He deserved to die. We do not dig graves. The spire. I will take what is true and break it until it can no longer be broken. I will find my sister's secrets and break them as well. Voyage. My love spills out. My love engulfs. I will go out into the universe as my brother did. I will do so with my memory of him.
Xivu Arath mentions the Hive war against the Ecumeny. The Ecumeny were a galactic government of many species. The Hive lacked the power to defeat them, so Oryx killed Xivu Arath and Savathun, their deaths empowering him through sword logic. With this power, Oryx was able to destroy the worm god Ahsa, learn the power to take, and then annihilate the Ecumeny. Through immense war and trickery, he was able to bring back Xivu Arath and Savathun, as Xivu Arath's worm hungers for war, and Savathun's for trickery. Xivu Arath's final statement in her eulogy is rather interesting. She mentions how strong her love is for her brother, and that she will go out and navigate in memory of him. In the same way Oryx acted out war in Xivu's memory, she is voyaging in Oryx's memory. Oryx's worm is fed through navigation and exploration, and she's attempting to bring back Oryx in the same way he brought back his sisters. So there's a duality going on in this dungeon between Savathun and Xivu Arath trying to bring back their brother. Savathun is trying to bring him back through defiance of the sword logic, with necromancy and the light, while Xivu Arath is trying to do it in the ways of the worms and the sword logic, as Oryx once did all those years ago. The only problem is that Oryx's worm is missing. So the ultimate question and lingering mystery from this dungeon: where is Oryx's worm? We need to first establish the nature of the worms and Oryx's in particular. Savathun's worm is a direct comparison, since we took it out of Savathun's body in Season of the Lost. Without a host, the worm would slowly die. The worm was tricked into believing that Queen Mara's Sov would become its new host, but instead the worm was trapped inside the weapon Parasite. The weapon became its new host, but kept it prisoner. We know that Oryx's worm is driven by navigation and exploration. The Pantheon lore told us this.
While imprisoned in the Dreaming City, Savathun once claimed that her brother Oryx was unable to control his curiosity, that his worm intentionally directs it, and that the worm manipulates Oryx's actions unbeknownst to him. She claims all hive worms function in this way. The veracity of this claim is unconfirmed. Many hive still tithe to Oryx in secret, though it is not known where the power of their tithes goes, given that the Taken King is dead.
Oryx's worm drives his navigation and actions. It's a thing of insatiable curiosity and desire. But knowing what we know about Savathun's worm, which was on the brink of death without a host, is Oryx's worm still alive? There's a good chance it's dead. and it's been 10 years since we killed Oryx aboard the Dreadnought, but I think it's intentional on Bungie's part to include the status of the worm in Fenchurch's report. This is a mystery from the dungeon that has no clear answer, but episode Heresy provided some hints. Let's look at what Savathun said to Oryx.
But your brood tied to your hidden worm still, and your bloated flesh pulsed.
She says that his brood ties to his hidden worm, and that his flesh pulsed. She calls the worm hidden, not dead. And again, remember, there are hive tithing to Oryx, and it seems like his worm is the thing collecting it, keeping it alive, satiating its hunger. I think the worm is out there, somewhere, navigating and voyaging and collecting the ties to Oryx. The question is, when are we going to see it? And when we do, we have to turn it into a gun like Parasite. This all leads me back to what is truly terrifying about this dungeon, the ocean, and the fear of the unknown. It's dark and haunting. There's a fear of the unknown present, that you don't know what truly lurks in the darkness. But what Ghosts of the Deep does so well is that it takes away our powers as guardians. We are put up against scary things in Destiny all the time, but our powers and abilities allow us to shoot these things in the face. We can't do that in the ocean. Our weapons and powers are stripped away. We are forced to confront the unknown and the deep, without having the ability to fight it. Humans have a fear of the ocean because we can hardly comprehend it, and there's something so horrifying about dying in the deep waters. Drowning is one of the worst ways to die because there is an unspoken tragedy about it. There's no one at fault or to blame when someone dies. It's a tragedy, an accidental death, where a small mistake or lapse in judgment leads to a terrible fate. Drowning in itself is terrifying, and that informs our fear of the ocean. But the ocean itself is also horrifying in its own right. It is vast and empty, features an almost otherworldly environment, with creatures that seem alien. It's also shrouded in darkness, a darkness that hides the things that are unknown. When you stare into the dark of the ocean, you have no idea what could be on the other side. You do not know what you are truly looking at what could possibly hide behind that veil of darkness. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and let me know what you thought in the comments. Also, I just launched channel members, and that comes with 3 different tiers and a bunch of different perks for each. I've also launched a Discord, and to celebrate its release, I'm going to hide a polychromatic refraction emblem throughout the server. Link is in the description. Click the video on the screen right now for more. And again, thank you for watching.